Welcome to New Mexico Black Rifle Operators Union. I'm your host, Sean. So I watched James Reeves' video today on TFB TV where they went to the Zastava plant in the United States to see what they get from Zastava in Serbia brought here and what they have to do to convert it to a normal AK or a Yugo AK. 922R is complete bullshit. Okay? What they're making manufacturers do is, if they can get the gun into the United States, first off, they have to replace certain parts because they're scary parts. Now, this has a side effect of boosting American manufacturing, which I'm a fan of, because they have to get these parts to reassemble the gun, basically. Take this as a Zastava AK, for instance. It had to have the magazine well re-honed out for a normal capacity magazine. That was one machine process. A second machine process, you had to put the rifle, each one of these as they came here, has to be put in a jig, and the front barrel nut that has been welded on, because it has to conform to 922R, which says it can't have a threaded barrel and it can't have a muzzle device on it to be shipped in. So they take this off with this jig. They then take this gun, reassemble the stock. They assemble it with brand new American walnut, brand new American hardware, like bands inside of the AK stock. If you don't know what they are, on a Yugo stock, there's one metal band on the back of the lower part of the handguard, and there's a band of metal that actually holds, it's a piece of spring metal that holds the top of the handguard to the gas tube with enough friction to where it'll stay there under recoil. So they have to reassemble that, and this counts as one of 10 parts, I think is what he said, 7 or 10 parts that they have to swap out. Okay, the rear butt stock, they have to swap out, or they put a new one on, because when it ships, it comes with a thumbhole stock. If you remember the old Mac 90 things that sucked, this one was on par with that, is what they showed. However, this was a polymer one, it was very cheaply made. They replace it with a matching piece of furniture. So if it's walnut, it's American walnut. Then the guy went through and said, we try to keep all the internal parts from Serbia because our parts are made to a certain tolerance for metallurgy. That means hardness. Okay? Anyone who's watched the AKOU stuff and has ever checked out Mel, who's manufactured AKs until YouTube got all pissy about him showing you a hobby he has and gave you a lot of information. I want to thank that man because I built my AK because of him. Anyhow, I'm not just talking about AKs. This is any foreign-made gun that's going to be shipped to the United States. Because it's a gun, it has to be 922R compliant. If it's a handgun, it can be shipped to the United States under certain rules. However, if it's a pistol or a rifle caliber pistol, it has to conform to 922R. Yet again, the ATF's arbitrary laws and rules screw something up. Because think about all the time and labor. If you've ever stripped apart an AK down to its bare receiver with the barrel and gas tube, then have to rebuild the gun up. That means the trigger, the fire control group. I was just going to say trigger, but all the fire control groups, so the springs and everything that goes with that. You have to reassemble all the stock hardware, all the stock Okay? These guys were having to rebuild magazines to conform to 922R. So they have these manufacturers for the follower, the base plate, and then there's a base plate guide that goes inside of an AK. Okay, they have to get those three parts, take a Serbian magazine, strip all the guts out of it, rebuild it, just to be compliant with 922R to sell their magazine, normal capacity magazine. Okay, that adds cost and time. So what this guy was saying from Zastava USA is that 922R costs us, the end consumer, the market, costs us a pretty penny. He wouldn't give us a number, but considering the state that rifle was, so I would encourage you to watch TFTP, James Reeves on his channel, because he's hilarious, he's interactive, and he's innovative, and so is Hop. I like their stuff. I'm a fan, James, if you ever get to my podcast and, all the fun stuff you do, or I get big enough to actually meet you. But he was showing this off. So this goes even farther. Imagine you having a Tavor. Okay? Tavor, when it's shipped here, they only ship parts here. And then they're built here. Okay? If you could get them just built in Israel and just imported, you would probably pay a third less for the rifle. So a $2,000 rifle, depending upon the day, you'd pay $200 less, probably. That's 10%. So maybe it'd be $1,500 for this rifle. All because of arbitrary bullcrap. It would make more sense, and I don't want to give them this idea, but hell, it would probably be better if they just added a 5 or a 10% surtax to just imported rifles, period. Because the companies could just import them as is, and I'm not wanting to knock American jobs. I'm glad that these guys are doing this stuff. I'm glad that there's someone that is willing to build a product for the 2A community that caters to us and is building really kick-ass stuff, new innovative AK stuff if you're into the AK. They're also building other things. And Zastava is a company that makes a ton of other guns for the rest of the world. They make military guns for a lot of third world countries. So it's not just them. CZ had to make a factory here, which, again, I like that they're making stuff in the United States using American stuff. However, I kind of would like original Bren 180, or not a Bren 180, what is it? It's their Bren 3 or whatever it is, the newest little Czech rifle that they're trying to, or that they're fielding themselves. You can get it in 5.56, or now they even have it where it'll take AK mags, I believe. But anyway, it's a neat rifle design, and it would be a competitor to the Scar, and then some. Okay? We would be able to get HKs back here, because they wouldn't be excluded because of the 922R random stuff that we're actually targeting HK specifically. So that's why HK has been like, I know you guys want it. We could bring it here. It wouldn't be that big of a deal. However, our own government and your government don't want us to do that, so we can't. I wish the free market would just let it flow. Could just flow like it's supposed to when it comes to the 2A. That's my rant for the evening. I'm hoping we're creating the culture where you're seeing this stuff. It was really cool to see how a gun was brought up to 922R compliance, and I followed the same thing basically. I just kind of was, this is a check for me to double check. Actually, this is a quadruple check because I don't want to go to jail for owning firearms. It's my right, but I don't want to hold an illegal one. I will be legal. I know that's me being a bootlicker to some degree, but this is one of those things where I really don't want to be on their radar for that type of thing. It's not worth it for me to have a full automatic. That's where I'm getting. It's not worth it for me to have a short-barreled rifle. In fact, when they do the brace thing, I'm kind of torn whether to go ahead and do all the stuff so it's legal. But at that point, if I'm going to do that and go through the process, I'll just make it an SBR if I keep it as a short-barreled. I've kind of had the itch of wanting to make it into a 20-inch old-school AR-15. We'll see. Like, share, subscribe, be great.